Hello, I'm Shelby. Please join me today as I hand down a family tradition to my daughter Jessica. In our family, when it comes time to pass on a family recipe, typically the elder will teach the younger one how to make it for the first time. Today I'll be handing down my pizza recipe. First, you're going to want to prep the area you're going to use for making the dough. You want to make sure you have all of your ingredients and tools ready. You don't want to have to go looking for something once you've started making dough. Sorry, it's a family recipe, but I have added one to the end that's very similar to my own. Now that you're ready, the first thing you're going to want to do is get your yeast ready. Take your sugar and a 1/4 cup of the hot water and add in your yeast. Once you have your yeast completely mixed, you're going to set it aside. You're going to want to set your yeast aside for about 5 minutes or until it becomes frothy, which actually means to have a layer of foam. While you're waiting for the yeast, go ahead and mix in the rest of the dry ingredients. If you want to add your own spices, this is a good time to do that. And don't be afraid to experiment. Now that you have your dry ingredients mixed, you want to first start by adding in your yeast. As you're mixing in the yeast, you want to slowly start adding the rest of the water. Your total water amount will be according to the recipe that you use. You want to pay close attention to how much and how fast you add in your water. You want to do it gradually. If you do it too quickly or you add too much, your dough will become extremely pasty. You can fix this with flour, which is kind of a hassle, and it's completely avoidable. You're going to continue stirring all the ingredients together until you notice that the mixture starts to change. It'll start becoming more doughy. You're going to have to get rid of the spoon and start kneading it by hand. You want to get as much kneaded in the bowl as possible before you start kneading it out on the counter. Before you start kneading, you're going to want to sprinkle a layer of flour on the surface that you're going to use. Now that you have your surface ready, it's time to start kneading some dough. Kneading is actually a pretty important stage of making dough, and it's the final step. As you're kneading, you want to continue making sure that your surface has flour on it or the dough will stick to the surface. Kneading is important because it is the last stage of mixing all of the ingredients together. You're going to continue kneading the dough until you can actually form it into a ball. Brush the ball with a light layer of oil so that it won't dry out during the rising process. Now place it in a bowl. Cover the bowl with a towel, and now you get to wait as the dough rises. It can take anywhere from an hour to 4 hours for your dough to completely rise. Once your dough is double in size, you're going to want to punch it down, reshape it back into a ball, and place it back in the bowl. As you're waiting for the dough to rise, I suggest preparing the pans you're going to use with a layer of flour. Preheat your oven according to your recipe. Now that the dough's ready, it's time to start the process of rolling it out. Flour your surface and then start working the dough until it becomes a flat disc. It's time to start using the rolling pin. Make sure you keep it lightly floured. If you don't have a rolling pin, don't worry. Any object with a smooth surface and you can roll with will work very well. You're going to want to roll out your dough until it nearly fits the pan. Once in the pan, you're going to want to go ahead and finish rolling it out so that it actually fills the entire pan. Now use a fork to put holes in the crust so that it can breathe while it's cooking. Now place it in the oven. You're going to bake the dough for approximately 15 minutes or until it's golden brown. Now that you have crust, you want to go ahead and start adding your favorite toppings. Now bake until the cheese is fully melted. We made all our family's favorites: a meat lovers, pepperoni with black olives, a Hawaiian, and cheese. Okay, who's ready to eat some pizza? Pause here so you can use the recipe I included.